Welcome back to another episode of Play Action Fantasy Football. Cameron here. We're going to go over the quarterback rankings here. But before we do that, go ahead and drop a like for the video at the very end, or do it right now. Either way, it works for me. And also go ahead and subscribe as well. We're going to be doing this every week for the rest of the season, and a couple other videos on the off season too. So make sure you're subscribed and ready to go for that one. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off number one for us, we got Jalen Hurts versus the Dolphins. He did give up that interception at the end of the game there against the Jets. Not a good way to go out. You know, both undefeated teams kind of lost this past week. So, Jalen Hurts, though, against the Dolphins. Dolphins always are going to score points, but their defense is not great, especially against the pass. So, Jalen Hurts is going to be number one for me against the Dolphins. How about number two, Patrick Mahomes versus the Chargers? Chargers have one of the worst pass defenses. I'm pretty sure they're 31 or 32 right now. They did not play yet as a Monday Night Football. That is why this is being recorded right now, before the game is out there. But regardless, even if the Chargers do somehow stop the passing offense of the Cowboys, I mean, they're still going to be bottom of the pack. So regardless of the fact, Patrick Mahomes is going to be number two. Number three is going to be Tua Tagovailoa at the Eagles. Like I said, the Dolphins are going to score points. No more explanation really needed there. Number four is going to be Josh Allen at the Patriots. Yes, he did struggle against the Giants. It was just one of those weird games. I believe strongly that was all it was. Giants defense showed up. However, the Patriots, they have not been as good on paper, on real life, as they have been on paper recently. So Josh Allen, number four. Number five, we got Lamar Jackson versus the Lions. Yes, the Lions have a really tough defense. However, Lamar Jackson's rushing upside definitely puts him a little bit higher up on this list. That's why he's number five. Number six, we got Geno Smith versus the Cardinals. Any quarterback playing the Cardinals should pretty much be a start for you at any point in time. Cardinals are one of the worst against the pass as well, and they tend to make fantasy quarterbacks bounce back. I mean, look at Joe Burrow a couple weeks ago. I mean, he finally looks like he's back to his old form himself. Number seven, you got Justin Herbert at the Chiefs. Regardless of what happens in this game, whether the Chiefs blow them out or whatever the case is in the first half, the Chargers throw the ball 50 times a game, almost 50 times a game. I mean, there's going to be plenty of upside to playing Justin Herbert in this matchup at Arrowhead against the Chiefs, especially in a divisional game. And Herbert's actually had pretty good luck against Kansas City in his career, so he's number seven for me. Number eight, we got Jared Goff, a guy who also is going to sling it. Now that David Montgomery might be out a couple weeks, that's definitely going to be another reason to see Jared Goff throwing the ball a little bit more. And the Ravens are not great against the pass either. So he's number eight for me against the Ravens in Baltimore. Number nine, you got Matthew Stafford versus Steelers. Steelers are coming off a bye week. Curious to see. That defense is pretty banged up. And from what I heard, TJ Watt and multiple reports, TJ Watt does have a couple torn ligaments in a couple parts going on for him. It's not great if you're a Steelers fan, hearing that TJ Watt is hurt yet again. He is going to play through the rest of the season as much as he can from what all the reports are indicating. But as of this matchup, Matthew Stafford at home against the Steelers, yeah, I'll take Stafford in this one. He's number 9. Number 10, Sam Howell at the Giants. Like I said, Giants did pretty well against Josh Allen and the Bills in Week 6 on Sunday Night Football. However, Sam Howell has been fantasy viable for the most part. I mean, he's scoring 17, 18, 20, 21 points a game roughly. He's had one or two where it's like, an issue. He might score like 7. He might score 10. But he's had some pretty good games recently, and against the Giants, I like this matchup. Now he's number 10. Number 11 is going to be Brock Purdy at the Vikings. Yes, the Vikings defense is terrible against the pass. However, Brock Purdy's not going to have a couple weapons. It seems like Christian McCaffrey is questionable right now. We'll see what happens with him. Deebo Samuel's day-to-day, as the report just broke out prior to this recording. So that's kind of going to leave him with Brandon Ayuk, really, and George Kittle. So we'll see what happens there. But Brock Purdy, after that loss in Cleveland, weather was terrible. We'll see what happens. Indoor stadium versus the Vikings now. He's number 11. I don't have him terribly low, so we'll keep him at 11. 12 is going to be Jordan Love at the Broncos. Another thing here with the Broncos, if you have a quarterback going up against them, it's almost an automatic start for the most part, or at least a cautious start. So Jordan Love should have a good game, though, against the Broncos, and he's going to be number 12. 13 is going to be Kirk Cousins versus the 49ers. It's going to be a tough defense, but Kirk Cousins is definitely a guy who can read defenses and do what he needs to do. Now he is without Justin Jefferson. I would have liked to put him in the top 10. I'm going to bump him down a little bit. A couple of these other guys are questionable or banged up as of right now, so that's why he's number 13 and not like number 18 or 19. But moving on with the list, we have number 14. It's going to be Deshaun Watson. Reports just broke out earlier today as well, saying that Deshaun Watson is on pace to play against the Colts If that does happen, he's number 14. Now, if it's somebody like P.J. Walker or Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which it should be P.J. Walker, you're going to obviously bump everyone else on this screen right now up a spot, and you're going to move him to the next screen. But as of right now, if Deshaun Watson plays, he's number 14 for me. A guy who is banged up and currently with a knee injury is Trevor Lawrence. He is questionable for Thursday Night Football at the Saints. Again, if he can't go, bump everybody up a spot on this screen. But Trevor Lawrence at the Saints, he did pretty decent against the Bills, had an okay outing against the Colts. Now he gets the Saints who have a tough pass defense. That's why he's sitting at 15 for me. Number 16 is going to be Josh Dobbs at Seattle. Seattle does have a kind of a stingy defense here, and Josh Dobbs is kind of falling back to reality for the most part. He did pretty well the first couple weeks. It seems like teams are figuring him out. So Josh Dobbs currently 16 for me. 17 is going to be Kenny Pickett at the Rams coming off that bye week. He does get a little bit of a rest, especially with that injury that he had. He dodged a bullet with the injury they originally thought he had, but he played well against Baltimore. Not well enough to be like a top 10, but well enough to be in the top 20. So against the Rams here, I like the matchup for Kenny Pickett. 18 is going to be Russell Wilson versus the Packers. Wilson had a tough outing against the Chiefs. There's no sugarcoating that one. It's 100% a terrible game. Weather was a little bit impactful as well. Kind of hurt the way that the ball was flying in the air, especially if you were against the wind or with the wind, it all just factored in. But against the Packers gave up a good amount of points to Jimmy Garoppolo, and Russell Wilson is definitely a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm going to go ahead and put Russell Wilson at 18. Number 19 is going to be another guy who struggled this past week against the Lions, and that is against the Lions, mind you, is Baker Mayfield. He's up against the Falcons this week, but it's a home game against the Falcons, and the Falcons lost to the Commanders this past week. So it's going to be interesting to see how Baker Mayfield, if he can or cannot bounce back. He did have Mike Evans back, but again, like I said last week with the wide receiver rankings, Mike Evans was not in the top 30 because I wanted to see how that hamstring was, and it kind of was a little bit of a factor in getting him going as well. Number 20 for me is going to be Derek Carr against the Jaguars, especially, and now here's the thing with Derek Carr, I'm going to put it out there right now. If Trevor Lawrence does not play for the Jaguars, Derek Carr becomes automatically a top 15 guy here. If you want to, swap whoever Trevor Lawrence is replaced by, put him at 20, which then moves Derek Carr to number 15. Honestly, Derek Carr against the Jaguars, if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, should be a good matchup. That defense is going to be tired considering that the Jaguars can probably not get that offense to stay on the field long enough, and that defense is going to be on the field way too much. Moving on now, you got number 21. Everyone's saying it's going to be Daniel Jones. I think he's going to sit out another week. Now, if it is Daniel Jones, obviously, I'm dropping him to 25 on this list, and we'll go over the rest of the list, and I still would put him at 25. But as of right now, after the way Tyrod Taylor played against Buffalo, I like the opportunity against the Commanders here. A home against the Commanders, nevertheless. 21 for me is Tyrod Taylor. 22 is Gardner Minshew versus the Browns. A little savvy veteran in a sense, not a great guy to really have to go up against one of the better defenses, and considering the Browns kind of did their thing against the 49ers. Yes, I know, no Deebo Samuel half the game. Christian McCaffrey went out. But still, one of the best offenses in the league, and the Browns ended up winning that game. Nobody had that one in their cards last week. Number 23 for me is going to be Brian Hoyer at the Bears. Brian Hoyer is going to be replacing Jimmy Garoppolo, it seems like, because of that back injury. Brian Hoyer did not do terrible for his time in last week, but somebody I'm going to keep an eye on and see what happens with Jimmy G. Obviously, if Jimmy G does play, which I highly doubt it, I'm moving him in the top 20 as well. Number 24 is going to be Desmond Ridder at the Buccaneers. Desmond Ridder has been playing a little decent as of late against the Buccaneers, who just suffered a big loss to Jared Goff and the Lions. Might be something where, Desmond Ridder could see something pretty fantasy viable. We'll take that with a grain of salt, what it is. And number 25 is Tyson Bagent versus the Raiders. He looks like he's going to be the starter for the Bears this week. Considering that Justin Fields does have an injury, we'll see what happens with that. And again, another thing with all these injuries is if Justin Fields is on this is going to play here, I'm going to move him up in the top 20. I'd say probably top 16 in that ranking. But that's going to do it for our quarterback rankings. Like I said, if you stay through the whole thing, appreciate you very much. We really appreciate that. But go ahead and drop a like and then also subscribe and turn on that notification button. This way you get all of our video drops when they happen. Other than that, look out for the other videos. Have a good fantasy week.